In a nation long designed and defined by cycles of promise and peril, where power has often felt like a permanent fixture rather than a public trust, Peter Obi's decision to bind himself to a single four-year term stands out as something both audacious and revealing. As the presidential candidate of the Nigerian Democratic Congress, paired with the northern heavyweight Rabiu Kwankwaso, Obi has not merely struck a political bargain. He has signed into existence twice over, once with the party and one personally. This is more than tactical coalition, building in Africa's most populous democracy. It touches the deepest fault lines of Nigerian politics, the unwritten rules of zoning and power rotation, the hunger for credible leadership after decades of broken promises, and the perennial question of whether any individual, however capable, can bend the arc of complex federation towards renewal in just one term. Critics call it naive or insufficient. Supporters see it as a rare act of political self-restraint. Either way, it forces us to ask harder questions about sacrifice, accountability, regional equity, and what it truly means to govern a country of over 200 million people at a moment of profound economic and security strain. Tonight, we examine that one-time agreement at the heart of the 2027 contest, not as gossip, but as a window into Obi's vision for Nigeria, the durability of opposition alliances, and whether this experiment's limited tenure can deliver the transformation so many Nigerians desperately seek. This is the Eastern Eye. I am Alex Ogbodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye, a program that X-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me on the Eastern Eye for the first time ever is the presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, Peter Obi. Okute, thank you for joining us on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you for inviting me, and I feel very honored to be here today because after several attempts, I'm happy to be here.
It's been quite a number of attempts to get you to be on the program. But first of all, I have to ask you, you are always on the road. How do you do it?
Well, you know, because you have so many obligations and you struggle to meet as many as you can every day. And again, being involved in what I desire to, you need to move around and get a feel of the people, get a feel of the environment. I don't believe that of course, like I was telling somebody just now that I've been to 3 states today, tomorrow I'm doing 4 and everything, because you want to go around and see the people. You know, that's the only way you can serve them faithfully, because you know how they feel, you know what is happening to them. One of the things that's happening to most of our leaders is that they don't move around. So they don't understand what is happening in the society that's happening.
So you believe in the maxim that the world is a book, that those who don't travel or move around may be reading only a page?
That's it. A leader is supposed to be 2 things. It's critical for leadership: learning and listening. You learn every day. Once you stop learning and stop listening, you shouldn't lead.
You were Anambra State governor, and in so many respects, some people will consider that your tenure, first and second, they will consider it checkered, because the House of Assembly checked you out, and then you checked yourself in through the legal process of the judiciary. And you also, you know, had some inroad in infrastructure. I mean, what are the specific lessons from that experience that you can apply to the Nigeria's challenges? A lot of people argue that, well, Anambra is not Nigeria. But are there lessons as a governor of Anambra State that you can pull up to the national stage?
Well, if you know Anambra very well, before I became governor, you will know that it was a case partially of where you can describe as a case of where, which is where Nigeria is now, where lunatics took over the asylum. And then, of course, you know, a governor came in, was nearly forcefully removed, was what you can call kidnapped, and then had all sorts of running battles and everything where government house, governor's lodge, state house of assembly, everything was burnt. What is it? So it was a very a state that was in disarray. My predecessor tried to do some work to stabilize it when I came in. I would say I was checked out, and I checked myself in. Like you said, you know, my impeachment, anytime, anywhere would have happened. Because when I came in, I was focused on turning the place around. If you bring change, you always have automatically enmity with those who live off the old order. So I was like a driver carrying buses full of passengers that have passed their destination. And I had no alternative because, yes, I was taking them to a better place. They didn't know where I was taking them to. But since they passed their destination, the only thing they could do is to throw out the driver and have to go back to where they used to be. But thereafter, when they found out where I was driving the vehicle to, they were with me. Is there lessons? Yes. Basically, the lessons are what you can apply anywhere nationally. First is that there was, number one lesson is that the cost of governance is criminal and not unacceptable in our governance system. Mismanagement of resources, which is actually the problem we have today as a nation. The non-urgent realignment and prudent management of our resources is missing. Following due process and ensuring that budgets and everything, promises made during election and everything are faithfully followed. We're missing. For example, when I came in, just to give you an example, we had more money in office of the governor than most of our ministries, including Ministry of Education. The governor's office had more money. You had more money, even in the office of First Lady, somebody nobody voted for, who had no reason to exist. And why? We had more money in that office than even some of our agencies. We were paying all sorts of bills. We had a lodge in Abuja. How could governor of Anambra State have a house in Abuja? He doesn't live in Abuja. And we have almost 80 workers, huge number of drivers. So there was too much waste. So when you see all this, so the lesson is something you can take from there. Of course, fighting corruption and everything. So there's quite a number of lessons that you can apply. In fact, that is urgently required at national level, where the criminality is even worse.
All right. Thank you for laying that out. Let's go to the political questions here. You've moved around quite a bit politically. You've moved from APGA to the PDP, to the Labour Party, to the ADC, and finally now to your current platform, the NDC. I go back to the lesson question again. In all these movements, maybe the movement from APGA to the PDP might not be the same from your movement from LP to ADC and NDC. Help us make the distinctions of the lessons you've picked up and the experiences of 2023 and what you are experiencing now as we build up to 2027.
Well, show me anybody who haven't moved. Everybody have moved. There's no lesson in the moving, I can tell you. It wasn't, there's no, the only thing I can tell you about the movement is that it's more of a strategic intent that when I'm here, they put fire here, I have to move to the next place. And if I find out the vehicle I'm using are broken down here, I have to, because it's, and what does it mean you're going from Enugu to Onitsha? And by the time you get to 9th mile, you find out that the car can no longer move. Your destination is Onitsha. You jump into another car, and by the time you get to Oji, maybe you have met some bandits and they shot at the tire. So you can no longer move. So that's what is happening to me. That's strictly that. I would have loved to have a more structured party where we have actually some principles guiding the party and everything, like it's everywhere. And I keep saying these are one of the things I want to fix. For us to have a political system where our parties, opposition especially, are well supported to play their role. Because you can't have a democracy without opposition. And you need a strong opposition so you can interact with them. There's nothing wrong in interacting with somebody who is not in office. You asked me about my lessons in government. When I was governor, on occasions, they come back and say, Dr. Chris Ngige criticized this. Why would he criticize? I said, no. Let's look at what he criticized. I know what is right. He will even call me and said, I recall an occasion where he said he went to a school in his village, so and so is not there. And I said, I will come there. And by the time I arrived in the school the next day, he was there waiting for me. And when I came, he said, this is not yet, this is not yet, this is not yet. And people were like, why will he be directing me like that? I said, but he's telling me to do what I'm supposed to do. Is there anything wrong in it? I want to have a stronger opposition. A system that will check whatever I'm doing and make sure it's in the right direction. Because we now have a situation where, like what I told you, where the people in power will tell you they're happy to see opposition quarrel. They even crack joke with it. From the president to the senior president to everybody. Nobody is happy living in a system that is not working. So there was no lesson. I would say there's too much lessons learned from those movements, but they became necessary because to stay where they left me would have been disaster. I don't stay where they live. Where they live. They dropped me here. If you drop me here now, I can tell you, if I even come back, I would have moved.
You continued moving?
Yes.
And you went viral on one of your outings on Tuesday about your safety, especially how people who associate with you are treated, and even how your business interests are also suffering because you are aspiring to be Nigeria's president. Some people, maybe because there were a few laughs on that program. How serious is the situation?
Very serious. What very serious. Have any governor told you not to come to his state? You. Have any governor? I have been told by me telling governor, I'm coming to your state, don't come, we can't guarantee your state. So what else do you want me to do? Or say, I've been to several universities in Nigeria invited, event scheduled. On that day, I was not allowed to enter the university. The records are there. So whenever I accuse people, the records are there. You could see it everywhere. Even the issue of what happened to me at the airport, go and check any day at any particular airport. I have only one car that comes in. It's only that's the only car they found fault with. When I see people come with the convoy of 12, 15, only that one, they've spotted it immediately. So what else would I say? I say with every sense of sincerity, my life, my business, everything, but that is not deterring me, because at the end of the day, we'll only pass through here once, not twice.
Your running mate this time is Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. It is on record that probably you tried to reach out to him in 2023, but now he is your running mate.
Yes.
What has changed between 2023 and now that Kwankwaso has agreed to be on the ticket with you?
Well, we don't know each other very well in 2023. And I understand, and I clearly understand if then, if it says no, maybe, but as we go along, if he says it, he said, what I know, his last interview, he said, what I know of Peter Obi now, I know he meant well for Nigeria. Because over the years, we've been talking, we've been thinking, and we've been telling him about the problems of Nigeria and what I think. And we've been sharing ideas and everything. Because, you see, I and Kwankwaso share the same basic thing I'll say. Kwankwaso wants to pull poor people out of poverty. He believes in education. I want to pull poor people out of poverty. Both of us believe that the problem of Nigeria can be solved by investing in education, investing in health, and pulling people out of poverty. You can't create mass poverty and have peace. No. It's never happened anywhere in the world. So we have some fundamental things we agree. And I believe that we will be the change, the healing and the change Nigeria desires.
Now, staying on that, I mean, building coalitions across regions and, if you like, former rivals is tough, especially in Nigeria politics. What compromises?
We're not rivals.
No, I know, I understand that.
We just contested election.
That's correct. That's correct. But have you already? We are looking at the compromises that may have been made, and where do you think you can draw the line to protect your core principles?
There was no compromise. I can tell you, we will make a great partner. What I believe in, he believes in. You see, when people talk about compromise and this, is when politics is based on transaction. I'm not in politics or transaction. I've said it anywhere. I said it anywhere. I'm not a saint, but I'm not a criminal. At least it's on record that I was governor for 8 years. And I've challenged everybody since I left. This is my 14th year of living in Anambra State as a governor. Okay, 13 years living in Anambra State as a governor. I even challenge anybody to show me any other person that left who left what I left behind. No thief sees what he can steal and leave it. Not even in church. That's why when you go to church, they tell you, no. Take your phone, take this. Because, not because people are coming to church to see, but because in their nature, because they are stealing, if they see what they can steal, they will steal it. But in this case, I saved money in foreign currency without anybody asking me to. It was there, the records are there. That the day I left office, I was not owing any salary that Anambra State is supposed to pay. I'm not owing any pension or gratuity that is due to the state. The state, not the agency, not anything. I'm not owing any contractor or supplier that have delivered. No contract that is ongoing, but anybody who have executed his contract, I was not owing. And I provided salary of that month that I was living. And I have in 3 banks, Access Bank, Diamond Bank, Fidelity Bank. I have in these 3 banks, in each 12 billion naira, $50 million. If you want the statement, I give it to you. But if you want, I can give it to you by Monday. It's documented. They signed it for me. And these are monies that I saved. Nobody saved it. I was the one who is saying, put this money aside for the future of the state. When I could have taken it, put it in one guy's and created this thing. So if I leave it, politics for me is not transaction. If you go to Oka, I have no piece of land from government. And since I left, Anambra State have not bought me a sachet of pure water. Pure water. I'm not talking about real water, good water, pure water. Never.
All right. Mr. Peter Obi, since you are now talking about money, so let's delve into the economy a little bit. Nigeria faces high inflation, unemployment, naira volatility, and over-reliance on oil. What is your concrete plan, perhaps as you aspire to be Nigeria's president, to solve this problem? Some people believe that Nigeria's problems, especially in the economic flank, are intractable, that we've possibly crossed the bridge and we can't get back. Do you think that we can solve these problems?
Easily. Let me tell you, when you talk, we have countries after countries have solved their problems. It will not be overnight. But what is happening now is that you're traveling on the wrong road. So you need to revise that vehicle. See, if you're going to Onitsha and you get to 9th Mile ahead to Nsukka, and you are now where you're almost in Makodi, what you need to do is to reverse the vehicle and start heading back. Because you're on the wrong road. Nigeria is on the wrong road. First, you need a competent driver to drive this vehicle. You need one that has capacity. You ask me, I'm on the road every day. No. These are part of the ingredients of governance. You can't just stay in one place. You need one that has a compassion, who knows that you cannot continue to keep these people poor. Have the character. Because people we have today in governance are careless. And they have to have the commitment to say, this place must change. I was governor in Anambra State. From day one, I saw that things were not moving. But I decided this place must change. And the only way it can change is this determination. Wait a minute, Office of First Lady, closed. Please, my wife is with me. Don't have anything to do with any office here. If they ask you, you're Peter's wife. That is the title you have. Anybody can call you anything, so you reduce that side. A lodge in Abuja closed down. We don't have money. Anybody who wants to stay there, come home. We don't have no governor's lodge anywhere. We're building presidential lodge. I told them the president doesn't live in Abuja, in Anambra, no presidential lodge. If you go and sit beside my lodge there and say, close it down, the president doesn't live here. Even Obasanjo can tell you, he wanted to come to Anambra. Say, where are you? I said, there's no presidential lodge. If you want to come, you come to there and go. You're the president. You don't need to sleep. He insisted he would sleep. I said, okay, since you're going to sleep, in my tradition, when a big man comes to your house, you vacate your house. I said, I'll vacate my lodge. That's what I did. I vacated my lodge for 3 days. I said, don't worry, just go. I said, in hotel, when you go, I come back. But we don't have any place for presidents. Because we don't have. He said, oh, well, this car. I said, no, when Jonathan came, he said, I said, I don't have the type of car used. I went to Delta, we have that car and borrowed it and gave him. When he was going, I packed that car because we can't afford it. We must now do things realistically. So if you're determined, I'm just telling you about the commitment on it, but what are you going to do to turn around the economy? That's your question. First is that you need to shut down waste. Shut down corruption. Apply the little resources in critical areas of development that you can use to measure development. One, education. You need to educate your people with skill. Basic education, I'm not talking about basic education. You need to put money in health. People have to be healthy. Then you start pulling people out of poverty. To pull people out of poverty, you start with small businesses. Nobody is supporting these young men and women with all their talents today. Nobody is giving them any form of support. That is the huge way you have to go, tap it, make sure that the government gives them all the support they need, provide them the financial support and everything. How do you tell a young man who have idea today to go to a bank and borrow money and pay 35% interest and survive? No way. If you check Indonesia today, I was in Indonesia, I spent 10 days. And I tell that, if you, Indonesian employment is 90% from small businesses. 90%. The biggest engine of employment anywhere in the world is small businesses, even in Western world. But I'm just using a development. Why do we always mention Indonesia or Bangladesh? They have huge population. Indonesia is a country of about 280 million people and the highest number of Muslims. But 90% of the employment today is from small businesses. And these small businesses, if you go to Indonesia, the official interest rate is between 13 and 15%. But small businesses get it between 3 and 5%. They are supported, they are trained, they even have a ministry for it. Here you live full of young men and women with all the talents and everything running around. Nobody cares about them. So when you start this, these are areas you need to start. You need to talk about, look at Nigeria saying that Nigeria is hungry. Even Ukraine at war, that's just grain. Ukraine give Nigeria grain and they're at war. It's not a shame. The entire Ukraine is about 600,000 square kilometers. The entire northern Nigeria is 750-something thousand square. So northern Nigeria alone is about almost 25% bigger than Ukraine, and they're at war. And then Nigeria is not a productive country. You must bring productivity into it. Bangladesh produces 10 times more rice than Nigeria. Bangladesh is 148,000 square kilometers. Our two biggest states, Niger at 76.3 and Borno at 70.8 is 147 something. So it's the size of Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is 170 million people. So it's heavily dense. While these two are not up to 17 million. So you can go on and on. Things to do, but nobody can do it because the small resources you have are being stolen by people who are adding no value, not doing anything. So these are things, the first dismantle, cut the cost of governance, deal with issues that will help you to build the future.
Yes, it's important that you've mentioned this, but let's speak specifically now about issues around taxation and ease of doing business, because you're talking about production. You can't set up a company if the environment is not conducive for you to do so.
But I've said it before. Yeah, you can't tax unemployment. You can't tax poverty. You know, let me tell you how that's the problem in Nigeria. Taxation is a function of productivity. But here we are taxing people who have no job. We're taxing people who are not producing anything. And above all, you're stealing the money. Most of the what you can call a good economic decision, macroeconomic decision, has not worked because you've not taken the right steps. So it's good to remove subsidy, which I understand we're even paying now. It's good to remove subsidy. But when the subsidy was being removed, we were told we will stop borrowing for it because we are borrowing to service it. So it was to reduce borrowing. We were told that the gains of it will be invested in critical areas of development. So brutally, Nigerians decided, okay, we're going to take it. Let's just remove this. But like every other thing in Nigeria, Nigerians are now buying fuel at several times over what they used to buy before. We're now told they've spent huge amount, trillions in the same subsidy. We borrowed more than we used to borrow when there was no subsidy. And worse, nobody's even seen anything. But if they remove subsidy and tomorrow our schools are working, we've seen improvement in people's life. It's a different thing. What we saw now is double whammy. Subsidy we don't see. Things are worse on the streets. So where do we go from there?
Let's talk about something that has bothered this country for quite some time, and that is the security situation in Nigeria. We have kidnapping, banditry, separatist agitations, and all sorts. I mean, children kidnapped from their schools, held for days. I mean, it's a serious problem. Is it impossible to solve Nigeria's security challenge?
Just like it's with the economy, it requires determination. It requires commitment. You cannot have, it's either the government is in charge or somebody else is in charge. Non-state actor cannot be in charge if there's no complicit. One person has moved in charge. I've said it everywhere. If we decided, we have had military that have participated in peacekeeping, have fought all over the world, are respected and everything. There's no reason why they cannot do it here now, except that the same thing that is happening in all sectors have not gone into there. There's no way you can have a house and then you have people who can come and break into your house when you're in charge. We need commitment. We need determination to deal with it. We need capacity. You saw me when I complained. I was the first to say that for 50 days of kidnap of all your children, the president did not call the governor. Wait a minute. 50 days. But I'll be there in 2 days. Is the bush not in Nigeria? That's the bush they went in. The bush is in Nigeria. Everybody in that bush will come out. Everybody. There might be casualties, but everybody will come out. And it is time when we say we resolve something, we arrested some people, parade the people, let people see them. What is happening? When America or other countries kill people like that. They parade them. They show it. Everybody sees it. In Nigeria, everything is surrounded in secrecy. They tell you that somebody kidnapped somebody in Anambra, in Enugu. He went to the bush. Go to Onitsha and see where they call Abaka forest. That was where I had a problem in Onitsha. It's the best state now when I became governor. Obasanjo is still alive. Yar'Adua is still alive. I went to Obasanjo. I said, listen, sir. There's a forest here. They said it's giving me a problem. And I want everybody in that forest to live. I cannot have that forest still in Anambra State. If you go today, Evans will tell you, at least that criminal, he said, Peter Obi made them to live on it. Under me, we had a criminal from Enugu here called Ngwekelamu. He died in Anambra State. We had one from Abia called Osikanko, died in Anambra State. We had a Ofayaku from Abia, died in Anambra State. No way. Is that I'm in charge or people are in charge? I go home. One person must be in charge. And if you're in charge, if you want to live, you should be ready to die. If you don't want to, go home. Is that one must be in charge? Not just that you get up and say A, B, C, D, F.
There's always this talk about corruption fighting back. I'm sure you've heard that before.
That's nonsense.
So how do you define, does it have any definition?
I said I've been governor. If you're not stealing, you, corruption fighting back that you're stealing. If you're not stealing, your wife is not, your children are not, you reduce it by 50%. It's you that will approve what they steal. It's when you put your own. If I put my own Ogbodo as governor, then you as commissioner will put. Then PAMSEC will put. Everybody will put his own. But if my own is not there, nobody dare put anything. Because I know the price. And as being governor, I can tell you, go, if any contractor today tell you that he sat down with Peter Obi and he said, put this amount for me, come here and stop contesting election. One contractor, just one. Say, I put this one for me. No, it's not possible. The only thing I want is do your contract. I said, I'm not a cento. If I'm entitled to it, fine. If I'm not entitled to it. So let nobody tell you, corruption, fighting back. Fighting back, how? It's you that when you put your own, other people put their own. That's fighting back.
All right. On that fighting note, we'll take a break here on the Eastern Eye. It's a special one because we're having the presidential candidate of the NDC. And we have a live studio audience here who have been waiting patiently. When we return from that break, they will have the opportunity to ask Okutendibo some questions. Stay with us.
Excuse me, ma. This is your 100% in my year.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Since your landlord just increased rent.
I saved for this one separately on money points.
Ma, you say you save on money points?
Yes.
This madam money points here, the array of your there is target savings money points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is fee savings money points I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact, son.
Jennifer, money point save as you transact. Money point fixed savings and money point target savings.
Madam, why the job don't contribute to it? Why should they? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Adaku to save. You see money points accounts there. You no go open a savings account. Now Adaku you shoot. I beg everybody inside this my saloon. Oh, yeah, bring out your phone and download the money points hack now. Even you. What are you waiting for? Download the money points hack now. Adaku, wow, open money points account.
Money point made for your progress. In Biggie's house, there's no place to hide. And even when you think no one is watching, the energy can swing in an instant. This BB Naija Season 11, everything burns brighter. Only the biggest moves tip the scale because nothing is given, but everything is for the taking. When the world watches, will you be outshined or will you step up and take the spotlight? Big Brother Naija Season 11 starts Sunday, July 26th, showing 24/7 on DSTV Channel 198 and GoTV Channel 49. Headline sponsor, Bet Power.
You only live once, so what's stopping you from living this life on 100? The youths of Aba and Enugu showed up and showed out at the gathering on 100. They were about their business. They played their hearts out. And had the time of their life.
Amazing! Electrifying! Exciting!
They gathered in their thousands and hour after hour non-stop. They showed Naija what it means to truly live it 100.
You're welcome back to the Eastern Hour here on Afia TV, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. We're still having this very illuminating conversation with the presidential candidate of the NDC, Peter Obi, who has decided to do just one term if elected as president. How will that work? So I'll find out from Peter Obi. Will you keep your own end of the bargain? Because it's usually a very big talking point. It happened to Jonathan. How will you pull this off?
Well, you know, part of what is lacking in Nigeria is lack of trust with the leaders. When people talk about the agreement, the promise or those who are campaigning, leaders have pledged to do during their campaign should actually be binding on them. And we have to rebuild trust in governance, trust in leadership. And for me, it is all part of what I've been talking about this evening. That we must do things that people should now start having faith in our leaders, because what they say is what they do. Start trusting them. I will serve 4 years because we have kind of an written, call it agreement, that it will go north and south. If I have the option, it would actually be one tenor of a particular, rotating within the siege geopolitical zone. I was with the Swiss ambassador a few days ago. He told me what to do. Within the regions, or the language, not actually in their own is language, they do it in such a way that every year, one acts as the president for that year. Next year, and it's brought his inclusion It brings in everybody have a sense of belonging. Like I said before, that my presidency, Kwankwaso, will be a healing and starting of the new Nigeria, where people will start building back trust in governance, where leaders will start doing what they say, because the country desires so.
We'll go to our live studio audience. So they've been bubbly. I wish they can just pan to them so they can see that they're here. I'm sure they have questions for Peter Obi. Can you hand the mic to them now? Start to the front. Sir Abuchi Anweyago, veteran journalist and public affairs analyst.
I am Sir Abuchi Anweyago, a veteran journalist and public affairs analyst. Your Excellency, Atiku is in the race for the presidency, just as you are. What do you think about Atiku's presence in the race for the presidency, given the geography factor? Atiku comes from the north, and we hear about the monolithic north. So what do you think about his presence in the race for the presidency? And secondly, Your Excellency, the governors, virtually all the governors seem to have ganged up in support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the same competition, for the same presidential race, except one governor. The other 35 governors, irrespective of their different political parties, are seen to be with Tinubu, supporting him for a second term. What then gives you confidence in the face of this gang-up that you are going to be successful in the presidential race in 2027? And finally, Your Excellency, how do you intend to grow the GDP of Nigeria? Some governors use taxation to grow the GDP of their states. How are you going to grow the GDP? Are you going to use taxation to grow the GDP of Nigeria? That's
well, I think let me quickly respond to what you said. I'll start with the last question. How do you intend to grow the GDP? The only way to grow a country's economy is productivity. Any other thing you're doing, wasting your time. A country has to be productive. Nigeria, as it is today, is not productive. Nigeria cannot produce the food they eat. You need to produce that. And we are endured freely for that. We can't make more money from agriculture than we make from oil. I just gave you an example using Bangladesh. We have vast uncultivated land. That is even what is giving us problem. Like Sambisa forest they are talking. It's a vast land. The Sambisa area is about 60,000 square kilometers. That is twice the size of Belgium. Belgium is 30,000 square kilometers. And they produce the food they eat. It's 3 times the size of Israel. Israel exports food. It says 22,000 square kilometers. So you can go on and on. I can show you clearly. Morocco today is exporting food. And other countries, not just them, to Europe. So we can do it. We need to change from consumption to production. And the more you become productive, you create job, because your biggest means of creating job is agriculture, which will now feed into manufacturing, and you must manufacture for export. The more people are employed, the more tax you generate. The more small businesses you employ. I've said it before that to be able to create employment, you need to support small businesses across the world. Small businesses, big economies, fastest economies with respect to their economies like China. 60% of the employment are small businesses. China has about over 800 million people employed. In urban areas, it's over 80%. And the small businesses in China contribute through taxation nearly 50% to the budget. But you have to tax something. You can't tax poverty. You can't tax on productivity. You can't tax somebody who is unemployed. If I have a job, I pay you tax. But look at it here. They've created mass poverty. When they came in, 87 million people were poor. Today, over 150 million. So where are you going to get the tax from? So what they are doing now is that, by productivity. Your number 2 question is issue, if I remember,
how are you?
I'm going to deal, what gives me confidence? I didn't have chancellor in 2022, and I won the election. Let's leave the past. I didn't have chancellor. So talk less of governor. I don't need the governors. I need the people. The governor is an individual. The governors have not moved. The people did not move with them. He's an individual. He has only one vote. The people of Nigeria will vote in 2027 for their own life, not for the governor. Because the governor is on his own. They've not changed that animal kingdom to some animals are more equal than others. So it is time for those who are still suffering in that kingdom to say, Oga, Nigerians must now vote for their future. They're now voting for the future of their children, not for the governor's interests. They are now voting for their own future, for their hunger. 35 million Nigerians are facing hunger this year. Not the governors. Did they say 35 governors? It's 35 million Nigerians who don't know where the next meal will come from. If the governor was feeding them, would they be announcing that they are facing hunger? So it's time for them to say, enough is enough. Nigerians are now, your children have been now being kidnapped in schools. Have they kidnapped the governor's children? So why are you still thinking about them? It is time to say no. We're not quarreling with them. Some of them are doing well. And with due respect, we'll bring you back. But for that purpose, number one, we need somebody now that will sacrifice. You know? They know. The money that we are borrowing today will be paid by your children. When they have no benefit, they didn't pay their school fees, they didn't do anything for them, so where are they being paid? Atiku. Well, Atiku is my guy, is my leader, and I respect him. And I'll continue to respect him for the rest of my life. He has right to contest. It's left for Nigerians to decide. I'm contesting. And I have respect of everybody. And I keep saying, I'm the most qualified for the job. I have what it takes to start turning this country around. And I have proved it at sub-national level, that you can turn a difficult place around. And that's what I want the opportunity to start doing.
Your Excellency, I am Dr. Bas Chikeze, a public health physician and the Secretary Guild of Public Affairs Analyst of Nigerian Enugu State Branch. You've talked so much about education, telling us about Morocco, Egypt, Bangladesh, and so on. These countries have the same, almost the same educational level as Nigeria in terms of literacy level. However, there is something that is pivotal to the development of every country, and that is iron. I have listened to you attentively, but I have not heard how the iron industry can be developed. I don't know if you can enlighten us how that could happen. And then again, we're talking about insecurity in Nigeria. I don't know if you could actually throw light on how you handle human insecurity or human security within the country and across, the Sahel region, so as to bring security, within our environment. Thank you very much.
You can't talk about steel industry when you haven't even dealt with agriculture. The countries you spoke about, some of them I visited, they didn't start with steel. They started with what you call basic agriculture. They were able to deal with that issue, which led to other things. Yes, when you talk about manufacturing, and this is not going to be, it's not just what the government is doing, is to create the environment that will make it attractive for investors to come in all areas of productivity, of manufacturing, of everything. Nobody's coming here to talk about today, due to some microeconomics policy, we've seen foreign investment, but no portfolio investment, no long-term investment. Because I'm not going to put my money for long-term here when you have no power. When the rule of law is not there, when there's so many basic things that is missing, you need to deal with that. When you talk about us having the same level of literacy as Morocco, these are things you see when you manipulate your papers and your figures. Let me tell you, before this government came into, you can Google, by 2022, Nigerian unemployment rate was about 30-something%. It's the same thing with South Africa. Youth unemployment, Africa have the highest, in percentage, highest youth unemployment. But in figures, we have the highest. Probably in the world. But today, if you Google it, they say, our unemployment is 4%. That's what you get. You have, my brother, 18 million out of school children. What is population of Morocco? How do you get all the regions to develop at their own pace and everything? Of course, it's very easy. When you remove the country from consumption to production, when you stop corruption and make government not to be transactional and everything, you will see it happen. Because that competition, the competition you had in the past of every region trying to do something, is because there was nothing to steal. I just told you that we can make more money from agriculture than we make from oil. Where is the agriculture going to happen? In the north. That's why we have vast uncultivated land. Niger State alone can feed this country. Just Niger State. Talking about, they have fertile land, they have everything, far better. I have compared it and said every single day. Netherlands makes from agricultural products or related products 120 billion euros a year, which is about $130 billion. That is 3 times what we make from oil. And with water, there are 41,000 square kilometers. Without water, there are 33,000, which means Niger State is 2.5 times their size. So we can make 10% of that, just 10% of what they make. Imagine if we're making 10% of what they're making. And you can go on and everything. When I was in this station this night, I was talking to somebody who had been in Kenya flower fields. And you see where young girls and boys are picking flowers for export. Flowers. You know, you go to abroad, you see people offering when they are doing Valentine, Kenyan flower, this flower. They say, a flower. This is sophisticated. We have Taraba and Bila Field, everything, same temperature. So you can go on and on. But you need to educate the people, have the skill, have everything, and be determined until you remove certain things that are in our governance. Corruption is number one, which I've told him now, how to reduce it, that they cannot fight back if you are not involved.
Your Excellency, my name is Dele Maxwell Ugwai. My question is, I personally believe that Nigerian Foundation is fundamentally flawed. And until it is fundamentally altered, I don't think there's anything meaningful that can be built on it. For example, the issue of quota system. How do I mean? University admission into federal establishment, federal universities, federal colleges of education, federal government colleges. I take university, for example. Someone from a particular state, let's take, for instance, Katsina State. A son of a major general from Katsina State will score 180. And will be asked to come and study medicine in the University of Nigeria and Soka or University of Benin. But a son of a Pawan Tapa from Enugu State, for example, who scored 300 and something, will be denied admission because he's considered educationally advantaged. Whereas a child of a major general in Katsina State is considered educationally disadvantaged. To me, this is not a balanced system where you set same speed limit for somebody with a Beetle, Volkswagen 1960 model and Range Rover 2026 model and set the same speed limit for them. How do you intend to tackle this issue of quota system, because it is depriving the country of required productivity? Number two, you talk of subsidy removal. We all agree that, three of you agreed last time that subsidy removal is a necessity. And we know that the money accruing from removal of subsidy is being given to the state, as we are told. Do you intend to reverse the subsidy removal, removal of subsidy, or you intend to concentrate the entire money at the center and not given to the governors? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Let me quickly answer this too. Who told you it's being given to the governors?
Okay, for example.
Who told you?
I said we are being told.
No, I said who told you?
The source, from the presidency. Even the governor said.
Who said subsidy removed?
The president.
So why are you listening to another person? It is the person who said subsidy removed should come out and say where the money is going. Leadership is about communication. Somebody came and took your money and said, I'm removing this. I came to your house now and said, sir, you can no longer enjoy this benefit because I want to use it for something else. And then you're listening to another person. You're not saying they told you. Who are they? We elected somebody. These are some of the things we want to stop in this country. If you go to Britain, the person who will tell you where that money is going is British Prime Minister. You go to America, it will be the American president. If you go to India, it will be Modi. That's the person you elected. We want people who were elected now to talk to us, not through proxies. It is time for them to come out from wherever they are hiding and talk to us. He announced subsidy removed. We want him now to tell us where the money is. If he's giving it to governors, tell us. If he's giving it to our wives, tell us so we can go to them and say, hey, madam, I hear you people are not the one collecting this money. Where's my own? Somebody needs to tell us where the money is. Not through proxies, because we didn't hire them. The person that is elected is the person that is supposed to talk to the nation. If I'm president of Nigeria, I will not talk through proxies. I will have spokespeople to tell Nigerians about what is happening. But in a critical issues like this, I'm the one that will address the nation and tell them what is happening. That's what, because I'm the one who's elected. It's my responsibility. That's number one. Your number first, the second question was on issue of
educational
disadvantage. Let me tell you, you know why you're talking about all those things? Because there's nothing fundamentally wrong with Nigeria. No. We don't have more, all these things we're talking about, having more tribes, ethnicity, language. Indonesia have at least 3 or 4 times more languages, tribes than Nigeria. It's because of sharing. Once you have sharing, once you have this, you were talking now about when they go for job employment, is this because the method of sharing? You can decide today to earn all that if we choose to be productive. We have less than 300 universities. I said, I'm telling you, so I'm comparing you with one country now. Indonesia have over 3,000 universities, 10 times. Their population is 2.8 million, about 280 million. We are about 230. They have over 3,000 universities. We have about 300. If you go there and want to go to anything, you become. If you go there and finish, you go to India, go to anywhere and finish school, you can start your own hospital. If you're curing people, you don't need any job. It's because we are used to, where do you want to work? People would ask me now, I want to go to custom. How can somebody who graduated? Because it is stealing and sharing. That's why somebody can come out of university and say he wants to go to custom, go to police. I want to work in NLP. No! People are starting their own businesses, even from school. All these people we are doing today, people who created the companies like Apple, they didn't go to anywhere. It was in the garage. As Steve Jobs and Wozniak started Apple and was able to bring Josh Colley, who was president of Pepsi, to come down and work with them. We have so many talented young people here that need support. If you give them support, they don't need to be looking at this thing you're looking. It is by creating that people, once the country becomes productive, all these things will fizzle away. You won't have it anywhere. It's in other countries until they move them from consumption, from sharing. The reason why today we are debating is that I want to start creating a country where people's talent and hard work will match up their opportunity. All these things will disappear. Nobody will care about who is educationally disadvantaged, educationally advantaged. It doesn't bother anybody. What you need is to give everybody basic education, create an environment where people can thrive, where their creativity, where everything. Quebec draw Spain. It was the only goalless, is it?
Yeah.
Is it not goalless draw?
I think that was the only match they didn't win.
They didn't only match they win with. Quebec is 500,000 people. 525,000 people. They stopped Spain, mighty Spain. Because they were organized. So it's not a question of is how prepared are we as a nation. We must stop this sharing, going to this, going to do that, and everything. That's where I said.
All right. The next question, please.
Your Excellency. Good evening, Your Excellency. Chukwuma Okenwa. Your Excellency, beyond the dynamics of counting the votes in Nigeria, a greater dynamic is making votes count. And two institutions are pivotal to making that happen, vis-a-vis INEC and the judiciary. But judging from 2023 elections, where we didn't see INEC or the judiciary live up to its expectation, two moments stood out for Nigerians. The time just before the results we announced, and of course, when we looked up to the judiciary. So it then follows that just counting the votes is not enough, but making it count. What do you think Nigerians must do in 2027 to ensure that beyond having their votes counted, that truly their votes are made to count? Thank you.
I'm not cutting in. The people can do it comfortably. If Nigerians want their vote to count today, it will count. Or they will count the person who didn't count it. Period. It's a very simple thing. It's your vote. This vote must count here. It's impossible. There's no. You can decide that. It has happened in nations all over the world. Their children are being kidnapped. Their children are being killed. They're in hunger. So many Nigerians today don't know where the next meal will come from. So what are you waiting for? You must insist. We want this vote to be counted. That was what I said when you talked about governor. But that day, it's Nigerians that will collect money and vote and then go back and say, oh, we are being kidnapped, we are being this. No. This is time to say no to all that. And if you say no, it won't happen. Quote me anywhere. Nothing will happen. All this is they are doing is just Nigerians will determine it will work. Judiciary will work the day Nigerians. Remember, election 2027 is not between Peter Obi, Atiku, and President Tinubu. It is between the people and the government. If we are going to go to court, it's the people that will go to court. The people. When the people come to court, the judge will give right judgment. Because he will know. That is it. So the people must now own the process and say, enough is enough. That's why the people can now own governance. We can no longer take it where you choose to govern anyhow. I asked a question this evening that it costs more to keep a local government chairman, a governor, a president in Nigeria, than it costs to keep a governor in America. More. The biggest state in America is California. A nation, a state of over 4 trillion economy. Far bigger than most, about the 6th or 7th biggest economy in the world. Just one state. But if they see the governor in a 6-car convoy, it will not be the mass protest he will face the next day. He will leave that office. So it is time for us to say no. Not celebrate rascality and criminality and be asking Peter Obi, how do we protect our vote? We put people all over the place. If you're protecting your own in Enugu here, somebody is protecting his own in Soka, somebody is protecting, that's how it's going to be protected. And after protecting it, you make sure that whatever Peter Obi is preaching, he's doing it. If he doesn't do it, he said, no. This is time for us now to tell those who are campaigning, we are taking record. When they come in, they must either serve or we show them that we are a country. Not when they come in, they start giving us the excuse. What we saw when we came in is different from what were you seeing when you were making promise. If you now, I'm not saying you achieve 100% of what you said, but if you don't, like somebody promised us that if I don't give you power, don't vote for me. What we want to know now is why you made that promise. If that is not working, you should come out and tell us why. Not that process telling us, but it was you who made that promise. That you deliver power, and if I don't do it, don't vote for me. Now you're sitting down, and people are telling us, is it when you're outside, you won, now that you're inside? That's nonsensical. Nonsensical. Shouldn't be. Should be you appealing to us and saying, I promise this. People don't expect 100% result in some cases, but they want 100% effort. And you have to explain it.
Good evening, Your Excellency. It's a pleasure to have you today in this station. My name is Emmanuel Dikachi Wachuko Esquire. Your Excellency, as a member of the youth constituency, we have been told time after time that the youth are leaders of tomorrow, and we've been wondering, when will that tomorrow come? You have listed a lot of things that you are going to do for the country if you eventually emerge as the president. And I'm curious to know the roles of the youth are going to play in your government, whether there will be a willing passenger or whether they're going to be involved in key sectors of the economy and governance and whatever that you plan to do for the country. So I'm wondering that you may throw light in the light of your earlier stated manifesto today. Thank you so much.
Well, I've been talking about youth today. Everything I've said about small businesses is about youth. In fact, the youth should actually now be the ones to determine their own future. Because their future, what we are doing now will take its revenge on you. Because all this money we are borrowing, we won't be alive when they demand for repayment. So you should be the one now and say, hey, no, you can't borrow this. You know, none of you now know how much, what year the bonds they issue will be paid. Are you aware now that Nigeria is issuing bonds to be paid in 2048, 2050? We won't be there. We're all gone. Even if we are not gone, what are you going to do with us after when we are 85, 80? Nothing. We have nothing to, we're not part of it any longer. Because this rascality, this misgovernance will take its revenge on you, you should be the one now fighting to ensure that the right person is in government. When will you lead? You have first to allow people who have capacity and everything to come on in charge. But if you continue the way you're going now, where some of you are doing all sorts of things, city boys, city girls, all sorts of characters all over the place, well, when the time comes, you now push yourself into village people because it's you've chopped your future.
My name is Jessica Dinwoke. You said that education is central to one of the ways to solving the many problems we have in Nigeria. And as a classroom teacher, I'm particularly concerned about this because we've seen cases where they've been improved or a bigger budget is made for education. For instance, in Enugu State, where we have about 32% of the state budget going to education. And we have also seen that that does not automatically translate to improved outcome. So my question is this: how would your administration ensure that every investment or budget that is made for education is actually monitored and accounted for? Thank you.
Well, your question should have been thrown to my young brother, Peter Obi. I'm talking about, let me be direct. And I believe what he's doing, he has good intentions of doing the right thing by focusing on education. But when the outcome, at times, the deliverable might not be that easy. Again, this is what I'm explaining. Even the governor have obligation to come and explain what he's doing and why, maybe, if he's not delivering and what is happening. But I assure you, education remains the #1 driver of development. The more educated a country is, the more developed. It is very simple. China can be developing fast trains, fast this, producing this, without education. What you're seeing in China today is because in 1978, the then leader then said, we focus on education. Scales and everything. In fact, if you read The Great Escape, I think by Angus Deaton, you see it. The way it proves that countries that have invested and done more in education and health have done far better than countries that didn't. So it's a very simple thing. You invest in education. You can't go wrong with it. If you invest in education and health and put people out of poverty, you will definitely do better. And that any governor that is doing it, I think some governors are in the right direction. And I believe they will. But all these things need to be done. What I'm saying about the national level, you need to drive this process.
My name is Dr. Stan Ukeje. I realized that you came to public awareness after a campaign that went away the costs or away costs. I suspect you were the source, the progenitor of that campaign. Very well. I then wonder, are you going to project such campaign slogan countrywide? In view of, you have addressed the problem of distrust among the different nationalities in Nigeria. I suggest that this distrust is caused by lack of knowledge of one another. Belgium is an old country, a developed country. They have addressed the problem by admitting that they have 4 principal nationalities within their country and therefore governed by consensus. Would you agree that Nigeria requires restructuring in order to address the same problem here? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me help you with the issue of restructuring and everything. First, you need to be, when you say there are different nations, all these things that I said is a function of transactional governance and sharing. I said Indonesia is bigger than we are in population and size. And they have different ethnics or languages. When you bring good governance and productivity and bring issue of inclusiveness, justice, fairness, you start reducing those rivals. That's why I said that my first job is to unite the country. The country is not united. And our constitution even allows that. That's why we have national character and everything. You need to bring everybody to the table. You need to hire the best. You need to focus on developing the country. He talked about issue of quota system. If you have several universities, you don't need to talk about quota system. Whoever wants to read medicine can go and read medicine. Whoever wants to read anything can go and read anything. If you go there and do well, that's it. You come out and practice. There's standard for practicing, there's standard for everything, and you can do well. It's as simple as ABC. But when you have limited and all this sharing method, I must be this or that. We want people to have basic education. So we want to pull 18 million out of school children in school Some of the people who have now living in the bush are people who didn't educate yesterday. None of you here can go to the bush and stay. Even if you kidnap somebody now and go into the bush, after 2 weeks, you, if the person hasn't paid you, you yourself want to go. But those who are doing it because they've been living there. So it is normal for them. So if they take you there, if Alex take me now to the bush and I decide not to settle him after 3 days, he will say, let's go. Because it doesn't belong there. But because those people are accustomed to living there, they live there. It's normal for them. I've asked those who are kidnapped. I've gone to prisons and seen those who are doing it. Young people, they have no job. They tell me, why did you do this? I have no job. How much were you paid in the last operation? 50,000. You'll be shocked. So if you educate them and they have something they're doing, it will be different. I was in Indonesia for over a week, and I asked them, why did we not see people begging in the street? They told me, don't they have factories to work? You go around the world, you have taxi drivers of the different nationalities, taxi drivers, people who are driving. America, everybody's looking for who drive truck now. Truck drivers earn more than anybody in the Western world. They're looking for them. But because they're not educated, you can't ship them. We will even make more money by educating people and allowing them to work all over the world. Philippines today makes twice what we make for more year for remittances. And they're just 100 million. They're just half of our population. They even have Ministry of Overseas Employment. Train their people and make sure they go there and work faithfully and bring back the money. So there's so many things we can do. Organize ourselves as a nation.
Good evening, Your Excellency. My name is James Eze. I'm a poet and a public relations consultant. Your Excellency, you talked about voters protecting their votes this time so that they can be firmly in charge of the entire process of the election. And I am wondering what you are doing in terms of voter education to prepare the voters to take charge of the voting process in 2027. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear brother, James. James, that's exactly what I'm doing now, because I'm now beginning to tell them that 35 million is going to be, is expected to go under the hunger list now. We've actually moved from below 100 in the hunger list to 109 now, going to 150. In a short while, we will, as we normally do, we'll be number one. Because you know we're always number one. So millions of others. Today, you've seen the World Bank say that 79% of Nigerians are facing the possibility of poverty. That is over 180 million out of 230. James, I believe all of us are headed there. Soon it will be 90%. So the people now have to stop that, to reverse that. And that's my education. We cannot continue to listen to all this. Every day you open paper, it's kidnapped. You open paper, it's fake agency. You open paper, it's stealing. We are now doing budgets for churches, for palaces, for goats, for animals. We have now lived in a country where snakes swallow the money. This happened. It is now time to deal with the snake.
All right. We have about 5 minutes to Thank you for that. It was rather spontaneous. We have about 5 minutes to end this conversation,
Yes.
but I have 2 questions left.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of people will be surprised I've not talked about your relationship with Kenneth Okonkwo. Kenneth Okonkwo was your former spokesperson, but it looks like things have gone sour. In fact, there is now a rumbling matter in court where Kenneth has made some very big allegations. What is it that is happening between you and Kenneth Okonkwo, and do you think it can be settled out of court?
Me and Kenneth Okonkwo is not quarreling. Kenneth remains my dear brother. But at this time when we decided scrutiny must be part of our selection of those who lead us, we don't want people to go into office again and somebody start telling us, oh, this man did not go to primary school, he didn't go to secondary school, or he was, in fact, he was a wife beater, or it was this. Kenneth Okonkwo said, whatever he said, if I am pushed, I have things I will say that everybody will be shocked. So I just pushed him. Because I want him to say those things. Because those things might actually make me to say, I'm sorry, I can no longer continue. I don't want the court to do anything more than that. Just say those things. So Nigerians will know whether Peter Obi, who is claiming that he went to this primary school, he went to Christ the King College, he went to Nsukka, he went to this and everything. Etc. But one of the claims people did is that he made 3rd class. Nsukka published the result. Yeah. Some people have even said he didn't go to Nsukka. I have my records. Everywhere I've passed through is documented. Everywhere. If I to tell you how bad it is, some of the schools that have been overseas have called me and said, the amount of inquiries we are getting about you is this. Some will even go and say, oh, he said he did a PhD in Oxford. He said he did this one. I said to them, look at my CV. What I read in Oxford is there inside it. I'm an alumnus. What I read in Cambridge is there. So I put it there so people will see it. So it is time for scrutiny. It is time to tell us Peter Obi's background. What exactly was he doing? Where, whatever he said. You know, it is time to go and say, oh, this man who is claiming that he has 1 wife, have actually 3 wives. He has so many children all over the place. They want those children to come out of that so people will know who they are, their number. So it's not, that's the only thing. Other than that, and Kenneth remains my brother. He chose his own path. And somebody who supported me yesterday can today find out I can no longer go with the support I'm giving you. It's his own choice. Those who didn't support me yesterday, some of them are saying now, we've now found out we made a mistake. We're going to support you now. So it's just, I've never quarreled, and I'm not one who go into office and say, because this part didn't vote for me, or that part didn't. I want to unite those who voted for me and those who didn't vote for me. I want to unite both of them to be able to live in one country and be proud of it.
I think we have to close it at that.
Thank you.
We have to thank you so much for this very illuminating conversation. Peter Obi, presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For coming on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm sure we'll be meeting in the future.
Thank you. And that's the Eastern Eye tonight. Thank you to all the crew that worked hard to put this together. My name is Alex Ogbodo. Thank you for watching. Good night.